Our chapters this week in Ignite the Truth begin near the end of the book of Numbers. The Hebrew name for this book is Bamidbar, which means in the wilderness. The Hebrew title captures the essence of this entire book, a record of wandering, testing, faithfulness, and failure, all played out in the harsh crucible of the desert. We've been reading the story of Israel's 40-year journey in the desert, due to their unwillingness to enter and possess the land. An entire generation died in the wilderness because of unbelief. The spies had brought back an evil report. The people had chosen fear over faith, and God declared that none of that generation, except Joshua and Caleb, would set foot in the promised land. 40 years of wandering for 40 days of faithlessness. Now a new generation is poised at the border, ready to go in and conquer. These are the children and grandchildren of those who died in the wilderness. They've grown up hearing the stories of their parents' rebellion and its consequences. They've learned, we hope, from the previous generation's mistakes. Indeed, last week's chapters ended with God's command to go in and take possession of all the land of Canaan. This week begins with very specific descriptions of the borders of the promised land. God is meticulous in his instructions. He doesn't speak in vague generalities, but provides precise boundaries, detailed directions, clear commands. Nothing is left to speculation or interpretation. We chose to film from this picturesque viewpoint, overlooking part of the southern boundary. The southern border is described in Numbers 34, verses 3 through 5. It extends from the southern end of the Dead Sea westward all the way to the Brook of Egypt, a dry riverbed that formed the traditional boundary between Canaan and Egypt. This is in northeastern Sinai today. God promised the entire land of Canaan to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Jewish people. He reiterated this promise to each of the patriarchs over and over again in the Torah. This wasn't casual suggestion or a temporary arrangement. This was a covenant, a solemn pledge from the eternal God to his chosen people. When God cut covenant with Abraham in Genesis 15, he passed between the pieces of the sacrifices alone, signifying that this covenant depends entirely on God's faithfulness, not on Israel's performance. It was unconditional and irrevocable. The God of Israel, the God of the Bible, is sovereign. He alone has the authority to say who will possess the land. No United Nations resolution, no international treaty, no political compromise can override the decree of the Almighty. He's the Creator. He owns the earth and everything in it. Psalm 24:1 declares, "The earth is the Lord's, and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein." He has the absolute right to grant land to whomever he chooses. God doesn't change, and his word is final. Malachi 3:6, God testifies, "For I, the Lord, do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, are not consumed." In James 1:7 we read that every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. And again in Numbers 23:19 we read, "God is not a man that he should lie, or the son of man that he should repent. Has he said and will not do it? Or has he spoken and he will not make good on it?" These verses aren't just theological abstractions. They're the foundation of Israel's claim to the land. God's immutability means his promises stand forever. God promised the land of Canaan to the Jewish people in perpetuity. And perpetuity means forever, not for a season until the circumstances change, not contingent on world opinion or political winds, forever. This promise wasn't canceled by the Roman exile in 70 AD. It wasn't nullified by the centuries of dispersion. It wasn't transferred to another people through replacement theology. Regardless of what the world may say, all of Israel, dare I say from the river to the sea, belongs to the Jewish people by divine mandate. I know that phrase has been co-opted and weaponized in recent years, but let's reclaim its biblical truth. From the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, this land belongs to Israel by God's decree. But let's be clear. While God's promises affirm the Jewish right to sovereignty in their ancestral homeland, they are not about excluding or exiling others. Israel has consistently embraced those who choose to live in peace alongside them. And today, minorities serve with full civil rights across every part of society. This vision of shared citizenship reaches back to 1948. While Arab leaders urged Arabs to flee, Jewish leaders asked them to stay as equal partners in building the nation. God's covenant never meant and never means that those who live here peacefully are unwelcome or treated as second-class citizens. From the time that the Israelites re-entered the land under Joshua, there has been a continual Jewish presence here. Through exile and persecution, through Roman occupation and Ottoman rule, through Crusader kingdoms and British mandates, through every attempt to erase them from this land, the Jewish people have maintained an unbroken connection to their God-given inheritance. Even during the darkest periods when Jewish numbers dwindled to a remnant, they never fully abandoned this land. They prayed facing Jerusalem. They ended their Passover Seders with next year in Jerusalem. And generation after generation kept alive the dream of return. As believers, we need to be ready to defend the Jewish people's right to the entire land based on the biblical texts and God's unchanging character. This isn't about politics, it's about theology. It's about understanding that when we stand with Israel, we stand with God's covenant purposes in the earth.
If this teaching blessed you, help us pass the blessing on. Ignite the Truth is brought to life through the generous support of Christians around the world. Partner with us, share it widely, and get ready. Another teaching from Israel is coming your way next week.